I tend to do that a lot. So basically, I was just saying I like to save the politics for Wednesdays, for the nights that I want to do politics. Also, by the way, I'm doing drunken debates on Friday, so that should be pretty fun. It'll be my first time on. It's a friend of mine's show, John Burke. Another friend of mine, CTV, conservative thinking vet, critically thinking veteran is the guy's name, not conservative. On Twitch. So shout out to those two guys. We'll be pulling up through there on Friday. So that should be pretty fun. Uh, but yeah, so I went to play basketball. I came back. I'm eating pizza. I'm chilling, and I'm just like scrolling on my phone. It's just like headline after headline, man. This stuff is just getting so old to me, man. It's like the politics, man. It just builds up, man, and I gotta come and get it out. So, you know, first of all, thank you guys for being here. Jeff and Ann, I see you guys, but I probably won't be doing too much reading of the chat because I just want to speed through this stuff and call it a night. So, so the title, as you see, the royal racist family, racist royal, surprise me the ways they try to present this stuff to us. Like they keep trying to present us with these situations, right, where they're telling us like this Oprah interview with uh, the Prince Harry and her wife and his wife, like this stuff is mind blowing, and they're sitting there trying to talk about racism, and they're trying to talk to, like, now Oprah Winfrey. Even though I don't like a lot of the stuff that she says, she has done a lot of positive things. I try to give her the benefit of the doubt, but come on, man! Like, if you're gonna try to bring these things to us, like, if you're gonna try to bring these things to us and you're trying to talk about issues, like, it's clear at this point that this isn't really. I don't think race is the big issue in America anymore. Okay, I really don't. Like, do I think it's solved? No. Do I think races still exist? Absolutely. But I mean, we're talking about. Let me switch tabs here. We're talking about a black woman who is worth $2.7 billion. Okay, which is great. Okay, that's fine. Talking to Prince Harry whose net worth, I guess, solo is 40 million. His wife's 5 million, but together, tied into the royal family, they're worth $88 billion. Okay, so let's just assume that he has access to those kinds of funds because he is in the family. You know what I mean? Like maybe his net worth alone and what he does or has done or whatever. How maybe he's only worth 40 million, but he's blood born in. He's royalty. He's born into the royal family. He has access to that. The royal family is worth around 88 billion, and that's really just like a guess. And I mean, technically, they're still involved with the country. I don't know how it works. So I won't try to pretend like I do, but they basically still run a nation. So it's like you got these people who are worth billions of dollars. To put it in perspective, Jeff Bezos is worth what, $200 billion now. Okay, so Jeff Bezos is worth $200 billion. Let's assume that Harry Reid, or Harry Reid, Prince Harry here, is sitting in a room with Oprah Winfrey. They're worth $100 billion combined. Okay, technically, because you have the royal family sitting down with Oprah Winfrey, an extension of the royal family. So $88 billion plus your $2 billion from Oprah, that's half of Jeff Bezos' net worth, sitting down in a room trying to tell us about their woes. You know what I mean? And his wife is talking about, oh, well, they didn't know what color the baby was going to come out. And like anybody with Google search, I know Joe Biden wants to tell you that, if you're black, you can't use a computer, but please use a computer and Google this stuff. Like, let's just look up their. I did this earlier. I wasn't even going to do this on stream, but let's see. Prince Harry's baby. But just for anyone who isn't following this stuff, shouldn't be following this stuff anyways. But here we go. I mean, are we really trying to pretend that like they were concerned about how the baby would come looking out? Like the stuff that she was saying in this interview, that like she was getting, and then won't disclose who said it. We just had another situation like this in sports. Okay, it's like, to me, a bunch of billionaires sitting around telling us how these terrible things happen. I don't want to hear it, man. It's just like, if you really wanted to bring the struggles of the average American out, okay, Oprah, please, God forbid this message reaches you, Oprah. Go talk to some real Americans, please, man. Go sit down with the people who are actually struggling through the coronavirus and dealing with all these problems that are supposed to be rampant. All the racism that's supposed to be rampant. Why don't you go to the hood? Because I guarantee you, in the hood, they're not going to be talking about racism. They're going to be talking about, who's gangbanging on what curb. And that's black and white. Who's slinging meth out in the country, and killing their kids, and who's, shooting up the street corners in Chicago, like shooting kids who are walking home from elementary school, like. And they're going to talk about how there's a divide when you go to a lot of these cities where there's like the epicenter, and then there's like 2 miles out, and it's like you don't want to go there. You know what I mean? You don't want to walk the streets there. Okay, it's a wealth. There's a class divide right now that's happening, and I think the idea is really to like, let's keep them focused on the race. Let's keep them focused on these other things. Let's keep them focused on the R and the D, the red and the blue, the conservative and the liberal. Let's keep them focused on that stuff. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Let's keep them focused on that stuff, and that way they're not going to see the bigger picture of what's going on. It's so annoying to me at this point. When you have that much money sitting down in a room together, like, look at, I just saw this key connections. Do you guys have those key connections? You know what I mean? I don't know any of those people. Like, it's ridiculous, man. This is old money, long money here. Talking about that, and I know that there was some. I think at the beginning there was some articles being released saying about how, oh, Harry was going to be cut off from the royal family. He's not getting cut off from the royal family. He's blood. Okay, they've since uh, rescinded that, and I think let's see. I think it was in this article. I can't remember, but they basically was saying that like they're expecting another child, and this was an older. I think this was before. This is the baby that they were having now, or whenever they were expecting. Oh yeah, this is the one. They basically got a sum of money from the royal family. Let's see if I can find it in here. I don't know if they said how much they got, but yeah, it's. I mean, this stuff is ridiculous, man. And these are the people that you have, trying to tell us about our woes. About the terrible things that are happening, about how hard everything is right now, and it's just. I don't know, man. I'm kind of over it. Like one thing after the other, and while I was on that, I don't know what made me think of it, but I think these tabs were already still open, and it was something that I had wanted to talk about before. Because I tend to get lumped in. I tend to get lumped in with the conservatives. I think it was because I was talking about division. I'll be honest. I kind of lost my train of thought as to why I threw these two articles in here. I had a good reason, but basically, I wanted to call out a little bit, the right where I tend to get thrown into, which I consider myself more independent. Libertarian at heart. Basically just leave me out of it. I don't like. I don't think that either party has our best interests at heart anymore. I'll be honest, but I tend to line up more with the right. But I mean, if you guys are gonna claim me, we gotta stop doing this crap, man. We gotta primary so many of these representatives, man. If that's what we're really about, and we're really about trying to change politics, and the left has to be doing the same thing. So I'm taking it upon myself to call out this stuff on the right and in Republican Party, because that's where I tend to be lining up. So I hope that the left is doing the same thing, you know what I mean, and getting some of these idiots out of here. But it was like, this is something, I know this was something that I saw and had wanted to talk about, and I never ended up getting to talk about this, but this is something that really blew my mind. And this was in the midst of like, I think April 2nd, yeah, 2020. So this was like, dude, nobody knew anything about the virus. Everybody was terrified, and Georgia was staying open. And I remember everyone was like, "What, bro? This guy's an idiot." And he was like, he said he just learned that asymptomatic, and I think the direct quote was like, if I would have known what asymptomatic meant, then I would have closed down a lot sooner, or something like that. So it's like we got to get some of these people out of here. Like the we need to succeed from the union, from our own country. Like I somewhat agree. Like some of these red states need to start threatening some of that stuff, and make a call to action. And I'm not saying war or anything crazy, but it's like I mean, something has to happen. We need to find a middle ground. We have to figure this out. We have one side telling us the whole country's falling apart and racism is a terrible, horrible thing. Like, and we're not even. It's not perfect here. Okay, I'll admit that, but it's like we have it so much better here than any other country. Like, I was just thinking about that while I'm playing basketball. I'm like, I'm going on a Monday night to go play basketball with my friends, like, and just relax and just like forget about the world, like. And I can't help but thinking, probably because I'm involved in all this politics stuff so much, I'm like there's countries where you don't have those luxuries. Like, you don't have like, I ran the shower for like 5 minutes to get the water hot before I took a shower. Like, but some people in their countries, like, they don't even have hot water. There's no running the water. It's like you dump the water in a bucket. I watch YouTube videos of this guy all the time. I follow his channel where he's like in Brazil or something like that, and he's living off of like $15 a day or something crazy. And he's like a YouTube, an upcoming like YouTube um I don't know what you want to call it. He's like a workout guy. He does workouts and stuff, and like all the stuff he made it himself from concrete. Like, just thinking about that stuff, like, bro, we got it good here. Okay, we got it made in the shade. Okay, in comparison, and again, that's not to say we can just sit on our laurels and not get better. All right, but like this stuff is insane. Like, LeBron James to fight voter suppression during All-Star Weekend. This stuff is just ridiculous to me. He talks about so much about all of this stuff that he wants to stand up to, and when it came to standing up for Hong Kong, it was nowhere to be found. Like like he had that response to like what was this at the Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and Zlatan, it basically, because so for any of you who didn't know, Zlatan made a little video. I'll just play it. I'll just let you guys hear it. But basically, you know, LeBron's been just talking so much about politics, and Zlatan decided to respond here. And I mean, it was really nothing. And for anyone who doesn't know, Zlatan actually, LeBron likes Zlatan. Like he likes him as an athlete, and they both kind of like each other. They look up to each other as really, incredible top level athletes. So I don't think anything that he was saying is meant to be harmful or in a negative light at all.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You
yeah.
can
I like
decide
a
for
lot,
yourself.
and he's a phenomenal in
You
what
ask him if he something about LeBron
I mean.
or basketball.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I liked a lot, and he's a phenomenal in what he's doing. But I don't like when people, when they have some kind of status and they go in and they do politics at the same time what they're doing. I mean, do what you're good at. Do the category you do. I play football because I'm the best in playing football. I don't do politics. If I would be a politician, I would do politics. That is the first mistake people do when they become famous and they come in a certain status. Stay out of it. Just do what you're best at because it doesn't look good.
So that was it, right? So he basically is saying what the entire world says. I don't even.
At the end of the day, I would
I'll
never
play LeBron's
shut up about
response
things that's
just because I thought it was.
that's wrong. I preach about my people, and I preach about equality, social injustice.
Unless it's Uyghur Muslims. Unless it's the Uyghur Muslims, or Hong Kong, Foxconn, any of that stuff.
Racism.
Well, go ahead and preach, man.
Systematic voting, voter suppression, things that go on in our community. Because I was a part of my community at one point.
Could be things they can't even do in China. Or wait, they can. They just have to vote for one party, right?
And seeing the things that was going on, and I know what's going on still because I have a group of 300 plus kids at my school that's going through the same thing, and they need a voice. And I'm their voice. I'm their voice, and I use my platform to continue to shed light on everything that may be going on, not only in my community but around this country and around the world. So
he said it around the world, like the Uyghur Muslims.
If there's no reason, no, I won't say no reason, but there's no way I will ever just stick to sports because I understand how, how this platform and how powerful my voice is. And he can just ask Renee Montgomery, if I would have shut up and just dribbled, seeing that beautiful black woman today, be a part of a group where she's part of an ownership group now with the Atlanta Dream down in Atlanta. And it's funny he say that because I believe in like 2018, he was the same guy who said when he was back in Sweden, talking about the same things because his last name wasn't a certain last name that he felt like it was some racism going on when he was out on the pitch. Right.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think he ever said it was racism. I just think he said that he was mad that because he was Ibrahimovic, because he was who he is, that the media and stuff was criticizing him in such a way that any of the mistakes that he was making, if he wasn't who he was, they wouldn't have cared about. And I don't even know if it was because he was saying it was racism or where he was from. I think he was just saying it because he was a star, because he was like the only star from his country or whatever. Like, it's a, I mean, LeBron, Michael Jordan, all of them go through the same things. When they make mistakes, since they never make mistakes, you know what I'm saying? Well, maybe LeBron makes a lot more than, well, you know, they all make their fair share, but those are magnified because they're such high-level athletes that they usually don't make mistakes. It's like Magnus Carlsen playing chess. Like, when he blunders, it's the biggest thing. Like, when these athletes make a mistake, it's blown up everywhere. So I think Ibrahimovic was just experiencing that when he was in another country. They were laying into him because he's not from their country. So, but I don't think he ever said it was racism. I could be wrong, but I don't follow soccer like I used to. But
right, he did say that, right? Yeah, I thought he said that. So, I speak from a very educated mind. I'm kind of the wrong guy to actually go at because I do my homework.
Did you do your homework on China? I mean, and like saying that, it's like, like if he was like, I'm really good at basketball, I'm like, all right, it's really good at basketball. But if you're trying to convince me that you're really educated and that you do your homework, I just don't believe you. Because, and I have to say, LeBron, more than any of these other athletes, it's hard for me I really don't like to not like LeBron. Okay, I like LeBron coming up. He does do a lot. He actually gets his hands dirty. He actually gets out there and tries to do things. But it's clear to me that he's not educated in a lot of this stuff. He isn't looking at all sides. And that's why Zidane said what he said. Like, just play your basketball, man. Because once you get out of this, you can get. I mean, look, take Michael Jordan for example. Michael Jordan was heavily criticized by the black community and by the Islamic Brotherhood. Like, Muhammad Ali, you know, had come out and said a lot of things about Islam and stuff like that, and like defended his faith, you know, till he died basically. And Michael Jordan was criticized heavily because he never really took up any political views because he didn't know enough about him. And he admitted that. He was like, he's like, look, at the end of the day, I'm a basketball player and I know basketball. I don't know a lot of this stuff, but I commend, I think one of his quotes, he was like, one of his interviews, he was being asked about it, and he was like, I commend, you know, Muhammad Ali for standing up for his faith and what he believes in, you know, and that's good for him. But I've just never had, you know, any views that are serious enough like that for me to go out publicly and share, you know, my platform is basketball, and that's what I want to bring to the world. I just want to entertain people and play the best basketball that I can. And so my thinking is that LeBron just does focus on basketball 99.99% of the time, and that 0.01% he's getting someone else, other people, to do research for him, and those people are clearly biased, and those people maybe aren't doing their research, and he doesn't have the time to go back and fact check them. So to some degree, I don't fully blame. The choice is still his to get involved in politics in the first place. I would rather just see him play basketball, be an awesome athlete, because he is an awesome athlete. I'll give him that. And keep doing what you do in your communities, man. Keep going, building like schools and doing, you know, churches and all that stuff. Like, I like that stuff. I like when athletes give back to the community. Okay, I really do. But if you really want to get involved in this stuff, you, out of everybody, have the most resources. I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could put aside an hour, you know, a couple hours a week to sit down and actually research this stuff if you really wanted to. I can do it, and I work a job and I have other stuff to do. Like, because I want to know. I don't want to be too far one way or the other. Like I want to I read both sides on purpose. Like because I don't want to just give a slanted opinion. I mean, I'm biased, a lot right now because I think, I think that's why I lean to the right now is because the left is losing their minds, and it's like I can't jump on board with that. Like and because I criticize the left, they automatically like I'm shunned, So it's like this stuff to me. It's like and what Zlatan responded again, and it's all in like Italian, so you can't really understand it. But basically, what he's saying in Italian is what I say all the time. I'm like, people want to watch sports to come together, man. Like the sports and the entertainment should be bringing people together from all the sides. You know what I mean? Like I should be able to sit beside, a left-leaning libertarian, a right-leaning libertarian, a hardcore lefty, a hardcore righty, and sit in the stands together and just cheer on our teams and be like, dude, these guys are incredible athletes playing at the highest level. Like, this is amazing to watch. So basically that's what Zlatan says, and I think the whole thing is like in Italian, but yeah, do the categories that you do what you're good at. I play football because I'm the best at playing football. I don't do politics. If I would be a politician. I would do politics. Like that's the first big mistake. When they become famous, they get a certain status, and people encourage them. Just like, dude, if you don't think that Oprah and Harry, if you don't think Harry and the missus got paid for that interview, dude, how are you getting someone who's like, if I'm born into a family and my family collectively is worth almost $90 billion, there's not a whole lot you could do to get me involved in stuff like that, to get me to come out and pick sides and be under the gun and take fire like that. You know what I'm saying? I think there's people who already confirmed that they did get paid for that interview. Like, These people at the highest level, the people who are the most wealthy right now, are pushing these narratives because they want to keep their wealth, because they want to keep the peasants, they want to keep us fighting with each other. Instead of figuring out how to fix this stuff, it's better if it remains broken so they can continue to use the loopholes and stuff to retain their wealth, at the highest level. Like, it's a dog and pony show, man. Like they're not coming out there because they give a damn about that. She's not telling you who said that stuff. The same thing, it's funny. The same kind of thing just happened while we were on sports. There was some other stuff. Jeremy Lin came out and was saying that he was being called coronavirus on the court. Okay. He has this whole long post here, so I'll just read it, see if some context. Something is changing in this generation of Asian Americans. We are tired of being told that we don't experience racism. We are tired of being told to keep our heads down and not to make trouble. We are tired of Asian American kids growing up and being asked where they're really from, having our eyes mocked, being objectified as exotic, or being told we're inherently unattractive. Like, bro, I'll finish. We're tired of the stereotypes of Hollywood affecting our psyche and limiting who we think we can be. We're tired of being invisible, of being mistaken for our colleagues, or told the struggles aren't real. I want better for my elders who work so hard and sacrifice so much to make a life for themselves here. I want better for my niece and nephew and future kids. I want better for the next generation of Asian American athletes who've worked so hard just to be deceptively athletic. Being Asian American doesn't mean we don't experience poverty and racism. Being a 9-year NBA veteran doesn't protect me from being called coronavirus on the court. Being a man of faith doesn't mean I don't fight for justice for myself or others. So here we are again, sharing how we feel. Is anyone listening? So, like, this seems like the same thing. This seems like both of these cases to me kind of scream. They have that Jesse Smollett kind of vibe to them. Okay, now look, I will admit, yes, people were calling it the China virus, And I'm sure somewhere people were mad at Chinese people like Asians. I'm sure there's some really ignorant people. But do you really think there's athletes on the court like that are that like people like to get to that level, play at that level? Like you got to play with everybody. It's kind of like being in the military, right? Like those are your people, and when you're on the court, like you gotta ride or die with those people. Like you got to be there, you got to play as a team to win, to the goal. You're trying to get into the NBA. These people are, do you really think that they're gonna be risking it to do that? And then do you think that they really actually, I don't know, man. Like it says they're doing an investigation apparently into this, like the G League is doing an investigation into this. If you ask me, at first glance, my first thought that pops into my head would have to be that Jeremy Lin, he's in the G League now. He's kind of like been out of the spotlight, which he actually had some crazy highlights recently. Something popped off. He must have popped off because there was like a game that came through my feed. I watch a lot of basketball. I really like basketball, but I don't watch it on TV anymore. But yeah, but I did see a video, so I thought he was actually coming up. I don't know. But so if I had to guess, I would say he's kind of out of the spotlight. He wants back in. Everybody's riding this train, so why not hop on it and get some? I don't know. I've been wrong before. Do an investigation into it, see what happens, sure. But the NBA stuff, like all this stuff is just making it so hard for me to watch sports. And I think like what Zlatan is saying is a good thing. It's like sports should be bringing us together. Like our issues and dealing with race and dealing with poverty and all that stuff, that should also bring us together. Not divide us. But it's the way they frame it. You know what I mean? If I told you, like, you know what I mean? If I could frame things to you in a certain way that can turn you against it, things rather than like just open your mind up to be like, I should be open to these ideas and trying to fix these things. You know what I mean? Versus like you go so far overboard that we're like, we know you're lying about this stuff. We know it isn't that bad because we live here. So just be honest about this stuff. Like when LeBron says it's open season, and they're hunting and cops are hunting black people. That's not true. That is 100% false. Okay? Like, do I think that person exists? Yeah, actually, there's a video. I think I did. It talked about this guy who was involved in like several shootings, and like they did this. They did an investigation into him because he was a police officer, and it wasn't even black people. It was just like he was involved in like 4 other shootings, and it was like after this one where they had this footage, he was like terminated. I think they pressed charges on him because it was clear that he was just trying to shoot people. I mean, something was broken, man, in his mind. So do I think that person probably exists out there? Probably, sure. But is it all of them? Like, is it all the cops? No. And is it like 90%? No. Is it 99%? No. Maybe there's like a 1% or there's like a 0.001%, but goodness gracious, man. This stuff is just getting, and this stuff, the NBA closed like one training camp, and I think it was because of this New York Times article. This is just stuff I found when I was looking up that other stuff that I thought was kind of interesting that goes along with that, because LeBron never said a word about the Uyghur Muslims. He never said a word about, China in general, and yet he's talking about how, educated he is and how he speaks out for injustice, not just in the country, not just in his community, not just for black people, but for everyone, for the nation, and for everyone around the globe except for China. So, so there was some NBA camp and academy in China abusing athletes or something. Their athletes were struck by coaches and all this stuff, and I think that was in relation to what this was, where they closed down some of these. But it's like that's still not enough. When you have the NBA was not allowing, I think a player spoke out and was like, "Hey, this is bad. I stand with Hong Kong," and then they just shut that down. Like nothing, you can't nothing in the NBA about that. I can't remember if that player got suspended or released or whatever, but I know nobody was talking about Hong Kong after that. And again, that's where I'm saying like this is all about money, man. And I don't know if maybe LeBron knows that. Maybe he's a really rich person. Maybe he knows it and he's just playing along with the game. But I don't think he's got time enough to be involved like that. I think it's more like you know somebody's just working his strings in the right way, and you know maybe it will help him in the long run too. Who knows? But yeah, it's clear that it's all about the green. The red and the blue doesn't matter. The R and the D don't matter. That dollar sign matters, and that green matters. And at the end of the day, that's what runs all this stuff. So just in case anybody didn't know, this is what's going on in China. We have it horrible here. We're such a racist, misogynist. You know, I'm just tired of all this, man. Like, I'm tired of the media tearing down men and women, and unintentionally, I guess, by allowing all these, the transgender, male to female into sports, and all this stuff is just like ruining our young men and women. Like allowing schools and teachers to keep secrets from parents by not telling them that their kid has changed genders and is going by a different name in school. Like, all this stuff is bad for our youth. Okay, I'm not saying like the LGBT like if your kid decides that they have some kind of leaning, they feel some type of way, so be it. My advice would be like, personally, it would be like, until you're 18, you're not doing anything to your body. I'll call you whatever you want, but the reality is that they don't need to be taught that stuff. They don't need to learn about that stuff because they're not supposed to be doing that stuff anyways, man. Like, we don't need to be teaching middle schoolers and elementary kids about LGBTQ. They don't care about sexual preferences yet. They're kids, man. So keep that stuff out of the school. Leave it for the parents to decide. When they see their kids snooping around, or they catch them with something and they decide, or they're, God forbid, they're diddling themselves or whatever, and it's time to have the talk, then you have the talk. But it's not the school's job to force kids who don't know about that stuff to like take away their innocence and teach them about all this crazy stuff out there, like about all adult stuff. Like, you can learn about that like later on in high school and stuff. Like, this stuff is getting out of hand. Like, I'm just tired of the media and the political parties, enabling each other to basically strip our morals away, strip our culture away, and try to replace it with some artificial, fabricated nonsense. Like, this isn't how people want to grow up. This isn't how kids should be raised. This isn't how we should treat our men or our women. Like, it's a breaking point, man. It's like, people can only take so much of this crap. Focus on this stuff more. You know what I mean? Like, point this stuff out. Let's give some scale to these claims that everybody loves to make. And yeah, so I was really glad that Zlatan said that. And then this was something else. The video isn't pulling up, but basically they were talking. This was before the Super Bowl. I must have missed this, but Roger Goodell is talking about they've done these things. The reporter's asking about the changes that have been made to the league in order to help encourage, like, basically to influence diversity into the league. And I think, let me switch over here. I think this is just like the worst idea, if I'm being honest. And I'm not. Look, man, diversity is a good thing, okay? And I think it has a place. I think there's definitely places where we could say, okay, let's try to have some more diversity here, like, and that would be a good thing. But generally speaking, especially when you're talking about sports, that's why we love sports so much, right? Because it's not just people aren't just there because they were invited. Like they're there because they're the highest level athletes. Like they're off the bench playing on the field because they're the most talented, consistent players of that sport. They're the highest level competitor in that arena, whatever. Like, do we still love Tiger Woods, even though whatever he did? Like, we still love these athletes despite their flaws, you know, because they perform at such a high level. They do things that we've never seen done before, and it's amazing. And they awe us every day. Like, so when I see people like trying to encourage diversity into things like sports, I think it's stupid, because I could make the same argument they're making about the head coach. They say the head coaches and GMs are mostly white. Okay, let me tell you. We'll get to why that is after. Let's say we flipped the script and we started saying the same thing about the athletes, and we were like, hey man, we want to see more white dudes on the field. We want to see more Mexicans on the field. We want to see more Asians out there on the field. We want you to sprinkle some women in there too. Like, it would be the worst game, like, because you're just putting people in there to play who can't compete at this level, right? And it's gonna be like watching a high school football game. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see the best of the best. If the whole team is black, I don't care. I want to see the best athletes on the field, on the pitch, playing. You know what I mean? Just like in any job, if the best, if the best people at math happen to be Asian or Jewish, or the best people at math happen to be all Asian, or the best people being lawyers in law tend to be Jewish, so be it, man. We need the best of the best, the cream of the crop. And that is how it should be in politics too. So when I see things like I don't even know what it was, the head of education or whatever it is that Joe Biden appointed, and it's like transgender. I don't care about. I want to see I want to see the transcript. I want to see her resume, man. I don't care what you are. I don't care what your background is. And it's like, it's funny because the reason a lot of those head coaches are white is because the best athletes just happen to be black. Okay? So they're better at that. And so they had to figure out another way to win. And so they hit the books and they made it happen, man. Like, it just is what it is. And we've seen really incredible head coaches that are black and everything else. Like, and still, again, we end up going back to this. In the majority of places, okay, it's going to be really hard. Imagine if everybody in the country just immediately was like, you know what? Yeah, diversity. 13% of the population is black, okay? So they could all be hired, right? Let's say all of the black people get in. What about now we're going to punish the businesses who aren't diverse because there's literally no black people left to make their company diverse. There's no black people left to make their team diverse, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we shouldn't be worrying about, like, to worry about that and focus on that, like, is racist, because you're kind of like assuming that, well, they're not good enough to get there on their own, so we need to give them a hand up. Like, what? This is why I don't like affirmative action. Like I remember watching like a Steven Crowder video where he's like, you know, the thing was like affirmative action is racist, changed my mind or whatever, and he sits down with this black girl. She didn't even really know what affirmative. She knew that affirmative action existed, but she didn't know what affirmative action actually was. She didn't know how it impacted universities, and she didn't know how they basically adjust your scores. And when he told her, when he really explained to her, like, here's the baseline level you have to get in, right? Here's the base SAT score, right? Here's the score you have to hit if you're Asian. Here's the score you have to hit if you're black. And it really, like, sunk in, and you could literally see, like, some energy leave her. Because she's, like, questioning herself. They kind of talk about it, I think, after, and she's like, you know, like, did I make it here? Like, would I have made it here still if I didn't have that help? So it, like, takes away the hard, like, all that hard work and dedication that you put in. It's like, oh, well, we were going to let you in anyways just because, like, you know, it's like, I don't want you, like, let's say I had a family business, like, I don't want you to promote me to VP of the company or whatever if Tom from sales is a better fit and he's better at me than the job. Like, I want to beat him. Like, I'm a competitive person. I want to win fair and square. Like, I don't want any handouts. Like, and I think a lot of people are that way mentally. So to me, I think just so much of this is it's going to have a negative impact overall, and has had a negative impact overall on our culture. It's divisive. It's nonsense. And every time that the media and the politicians and all this try to reach out to us or try to relate to us, they do it from the you know, from the inside the walls of the castle. It just, like, literally, you know, having royalty sit down and try to pretend like they've experienced some kind of significant racism in their life. I'm sorry, but I really just am not buying it with the Prince Harry and his wife. I'm sorry, I'm really not. You can't name the person. Jeremy Lin can't name the person. Jesse Smollett, we found out it was his buddies, okay? And I think it'll probably end up being the same kind of thing here. Yeah. That's my take on all this crap, man. So yeah, I'm not going to keep you guys here any longer. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, follow, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. I have an email. I have a Discord. Nacho News 777. Send me articles. Send me what you want to hear me talk about. What you think is good news. If you want to, if you just want to chat, and yeah, thanks for being here, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday, and then also Friday. Friday is Drunken Debates. Okay, so don't forget. That should be a good one. My buddy John Burke, my friend, critically thinking veteran. He's on Twitch. Turned me on to him. So yeah, appreciate all you guys. Thanks for being here. Love you, and peace.